Zareth pressed her thin fingers against the cold metal wall of her broken ship. The lights flickered on and off like dying stars. She could hear the air recycler making strange noises. It would not last much longer. 3 days ago, everything had been different. 3 days ago, she had been excited about her research mission. The Velthari research ship Gentle Current had been traveling with 5 other vessels to study a new star system. Zareth was the youngest engineer on the team, but her work with biocrystals had impressed everyone. She thought she was going to help discover something wonderful. Then the HFY came. Zareth shivered as she remembered the attack. The HFY ships had appeared from nowhere like giant metal insects. They were huge, dark, and covered with weapons. The Velthari ships looked like toys next to them. The Velthari were not fighters. They were healers and builders. Their bodies were delicate, with bones that were almost like crystal. They could create amazing medicines and grow living ships, but they could not fight. They had never needed to fight. The galaxy had always been peaceful for them. The HFY did not care about peace. They cared about conquest. They wanted to rule everything and everyone. Any species that could not fight back became their slaves or their food. Zareth had watched from her engineering station as the other ships died one by one. The HFY weapons cut through their hulls like paper. She heard the screams over the radio. She heard her friends begging for mercy. The HFY did not answer. Her ship had tried to run, but a HFY missile had hit their engine room. The explosion killed most of the crew instantly. Zareth had been lucky to reach an escape pod before the ship broke apart. Now she drifted alone in the wreckage field, surrounded by pieces of metal and the bodies of her friends. The escape pod was small and simple. It had basic life support and a tiny food supply. The computer told her she had 16 hours of air left. After that, she would die. Zareth looked out the small window at the stars. They looked so cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the HFY were attacking other innocent species. They would keep killing until no one could stop them. She activated her personal recorder. If someone found her body, they should know what happened. "This is Engineer Zareth of the research vessel Gentle Current," she said into the device. Her voice sounded strange in the quiet pod. "If you are hearing this, then I am dead and the HFY Dominion has won another battle." She paused and looked at her shaking hands. The Velthari had always believed that knowledge could solve any problem. They thought that if they just understood the universe better, they could make it a better place. Now Zareth knew better. Some problems could only be solved with force, and her people had no force to give. "The HFY have new weapons," she continued. "Their ships are faster than before, and their shields are stronger. They destroyed our entire convoy in less than 10 minutes. We never had a chance." The pod's computer beeped softly. 15 hours of air remaining. "They are moving toward the galactic core," Zareth said. "Nothing can stop them. The Galactic Council will try to negotiate, but the HFY do not negotiate. They only take what they want." She thought about her home planet, Velthar Prime. It was beautiful, covered with crystal cities that grew like living things. Her people lived in harmony with nature and each other. They created art and music and medicine. They had never hurt anyone. The HFY would destroy it all. They would enslave the survivors and use them to build weapons. The crystal cities would become factories. The beautiful gardens would become farms to feed HFY soldiers. Everything good would be turned into something terrible. "I wish I could warn them," Zareth whispered. "I wish I could do something." But she was just one small person in a tiny pod floating in empty space. The galaxy was huge and she was nothing. The HFY had thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. What could one Velthari engineer do against such power? The stars did not answer her question. Zareth closed her eyes and tried to remember happier times. She thought about her family on Velthar Prime. Her parents were both crystal farmers, growing the special minerals that powered their technology. Her little brother was studying to be a healer. They were all gentle, kind people who believed the universe was basically good. She wondered if they were still alive. The HFY moved fast. By now they might have already reached the Velthari home system. Her family might already be dead or enslaved. The thought made her feel sick and empty inside. "Personal log, final entry," she said to the recorder. "My name is Zareth, daughter of Kaleth and Mireth of the Crystal Valley clan. I was born on Velthar Prime in the season of growing light. I wanted to be an engineer because I thought I could help build a better future." Her voice broke a little. "I was wrong. There is no better future. There is only the HFY and their hunger for conquest. They will eat the galaxy piece by piece until nothing beautiful remains. 14 hours of air. Zarath turned off the recorder and floated in the quiet darkness. Outside her small window, she could see the wreckage of her ship spinning slowly. A piece of the hull still had the Gentle Current's name painted on it in bright blue letters. Soon even that would be gone, scattered into the void. She was so tired. The fear and sadness were exhausting. It would be easy to just close her eyes and sleep. The computer would wake her when the air ran out, but maybe she could just ignore it. Maybe she could just drift away peacefully, but something inside her refused to give up completely. Maybe it was her engineer's training, or maybe it was just stubbornness. She kept watching the scanner, hoping for something impossible. A rescue ship. A miracle. Anything. The scanner showed only empty space and floating debris. The Krexhai were long gone, moving on to their next target. No one else would come to this dead system. No one even knew she was here. Zarath was alone in the vast darkness, waiting to die. The galaxy was full of predators and prey, and she was clearly prey. That was just how things worked. She had no way of knowing that everything was about to change. Zarath was dreaming about her home when the alarm started screaming. She jerked awake in the small escape pod. The red warning lights were flashing and the computer was making urgent beeping sounds. She rubbed her eyes and looked at the display. Something was very wrong. According to her scanner, there was a massive object approaching her position. But that was impossible. The scanner had been empty for hours. Nothing could sneak up on her like that. She checked the readings again. The object was enormous, at least 10 times bigger than the largest Velthari ship she had ever seen. It was moving straight toward her with impossible precision, weaving through the debris field like it knew exactly where every piece of wreckage was located. Zarath felt her heart start beating faster. The Velthari had 2 hearts, and right now both of them were pounding with terror. Had the Krexhai come back to finish the job? Were they collecting survivors for some terrible purpose? But the scanner readings did not match any Krexhai ship design in her database. This vessel was different. It was angular and brutal-looking, covered with weapon systems that made Krexhai battleships look small. The hull was dark metal with strange markings she did not recognize. Where had it come from? Her scanner should have detected something that large from much farther away. It was like the ship had just appeared out of empty space. Zarath tried to power up her pod's engines, but they were too damaged. She could not run. She could not hide. She could only watch as the massive ship grew larger and larger on her screen. Then her communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in a language she had never heard before. The words were harsh and strange, full of sounds that seemed almost violent. Her translation computer struggled to process them. After a few seconds, the translation came through. Unknown vessel. This is the UES Retribution. You are in distress. Prepare for immediate extraction. Zarath stared at the message display. UES? She had never heard of that designation. Her computer database contained information about every known spacefaring species in the galaxy. But there was no record of any civilization using those letters. And what did retribution mean? The translation computer said it meant revenge or punishment. What kind of people named their ships after revenge? The voice came again, speaking more slowly. Small ship, respond if you can hear us. We are here to help. The word help made Zarath pause. The Krexhai never offered help. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they did not need. But maybe this was some kind of trick. Maybe they wanted her alive for questioning. She activated her communicator with shaking fingers. This is Engineer Zarath of the Velthari research vessel Gentle Current. Who are you? I have never heard of your species. There was a pause. Then the voice answered, we are humans. We know you have never heard of us. Most species have not. We come from the edge of the galaxy, and we have been watching what the Krexhai are doing. We are here to stop them. Humans. The word meant nothing to Zarath, but the way the voice said it made her feel strange. There was something in the tone, something that suggested these humans were not afraid of the Krexhai at all. Your ship is badly damaged, the human voice continued. Your life support will fail soon. We are going to bring you aboard our vessel. Do not be afraid. The huge ship moved closer. Zarath could see it more clearly now. It was like nothing she had ever imagined. The hull was covered with weapons of all different sizes. Some looked like energy cannons, others like missile launchers. There were systems she could not even identify. This ship was built for only one purpose: war. But mixed in with all the weapons, she could see other things. sensor arrays, communication dishes, what looked like docking bays for smaller ships. This vessel was designed to fight but also to carry other things, or other people. A section of the hull began to open. Zareth watched in amazement as a docking bay large enough to hold her entire research ship revealed itself. Bright lights illuminated the interior, and she could see other small vessels parked inside. "We are bringing you in now," the human voice said. "Stay calm. You are safe." A tractor beam locked onto her pod and began pulling her toward the opening. Zareth had no choice but to let it happen. Even if she could somehow escape, she would die in a few hours anyway. At least this way, she might learn something about these mysterious humans before they killed her. The pod slid smoothly into the docking bay. The huge doors closed behind her, and she heard the hiss of atmosphere being pumped in. Within minutes, the bay was pressurized and safe. Through her small window, Zareth could see figures approaching her pod. They were bipedal like herself, but built completely differently. Where the Velthari were thin and delicate, these humans looked solid and strong. Their bodies were compact and muscular, designed for physical activity. But what struck her most were their faces. The Velthari had large, gentle eyes that faced slightly sideways like most prey species. These humans had smaller eyes that faced directly forward. Predator eyes designed for hunting. One of them tapped on her pod's hull and spoke through an external communicator. "Engineer Zareth, we are going to open your pod now. The atmosphere out here is safe for you to breathe. Please do not be frightened by our appearance. We mean you no harm." The pod's door hissed open. Zareth took a deep breath of the ship's air. It smelled different from Velthari atmosphere, with a metallic taste that reminded her of weapons and machinery. The nearest human stepped forward. It was smaller than the others, with longer hair and a softer voice. "My name is Dr. Sarah Chen. I am the captain of this ship. You are hurt and exhausted. Let us help you." Zareth looked at the human captain. Despite her predator eyes and strong build, there was something gentle in her expression. Something that reminded Zareth of the healers back home. "Why are you helping me?" Zareth asked. "What do you want from me?" Captain Chen smiled, and the expression made her face look less frightening. "We want to stop the Krexhai from destroying any more innocent people. But we cannot do it alone. We need allies who understand what we are fighting against." She gestured toward the other humans in the docking bay. They were all watching Zareth with curious but not hostile expressions. Some of them looked like soldiers, but others appeared to be engineers or scientists. "We know what it is like to face extinction," Captain Chen continued. "We have been there. We survived, but just barely. Now we want to make sure other species survive too." Zareth felt tears forming in her large eyes. For the first time since the attack, she felt something other than despair. Maybe there was hope after all. Maybe these strange, predatory-looking humans really could fight the Krexhai. "Come," Dr. Chen said gently. "Let us get you to medical bay. You need food and rest. Then we will talk about how to save your people." As Zareth followed the human captain deeper into the massive ship, she wondered what kind of species could build something so powerful, yet choose to use it to protect others. She was about to learn that humans were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Zareth woke up in what she thought was a torture chamber. The walls were hard metal painted in cold gray colors. The lights were too bright and white, nothing like the soft blue glow the Velthari preferred. Everything had sharp corners and straight lines. Even the bed she was lying on felt hard and unwelcoming. This had to be where the humans brought prisoners before they hurt them. But as her mind cleared, she realized something strange. She felt better than she had in days. Someone had treated her injuries. Someone had given her clean clothes and proper food. "Good morning, Engineer Zareth," said a familiar voice. She turned to see Captain Chen sitting in a chair beside the bed. The human woman looked less frightening in the bright light, though her forward-facing eyes still made Zareth nervous. "How do you feel?" the captain asked. "Better," Zareth admitted. "Much better. Your medical bay is very advanced." "We had to learn to fix injuries quickly," Captain Chen said. "Our history has not always been peaceful." Zareth sat up carefully. Through a window in the wall, she could see stars moving past. The ship was traveling at high speed through space. "Where are we going?" she asked. "To rescue more survivors," Captain Chen replied. "Our sensors have detected Krexhai activity near the Velthari colony world of Haven's Rest. We believe there are still people alive there who need help." The news made Zareth's hearts race. Haven's Rest was home to almost 10 million Velthari. If the Krexhai had found it, "We have to hurry," she said, trying to get out of bed. Captain Chen gently pushed her back down. "We are already moving as fast as we can. But first I need to explain some things to you. About us. About what we are doing here." She activated a wall display that showed a map of the galaxy. Zareth could see the core worlds where the Galactic Council met, the middle regions where most civilizations lived, and the outer rim where only the bravest explorers went. "We come from here," Captain Chen said, pointing to a section of the outer rim that Zareth had always thought was empty. "A small yellow star with 9 planets. We call our world Earth. But that area is unexplored," Zareth said. "The galactic surveys showed no intelligent life there." "The surveys were wrong," Captain Chen smiled. "We have been there for thousands of years. We just learned to hide ourselves until we were ready." She changed the display to show images of Earth. Zareth saw blue oceans and green continents, cities full of tall buildings, and billions of humans going about their daily lives. "We are a young species," Captain Chen continued. "We only learned to travel between stars a few hundred years ago. But we learned other things much earlier. We learned to fight. We learned to survive. We learned to adapt." The display changed again, showing scenes that made Zareth gasp in horror. Humans fighting other humans with terrible weapons, cities destroyed by fire and explosions, millions of dead bodies scattered across battlefields. "We nearly destroyed ourselves," Captain Chen said quietly. "For thousands of years we fought wars over everything. Territory, resources, ideas, religion, the color of our skin. We were very good at killing each other. But you survived," Zareth said, "just barely. And in the process we learned something important. We learned that the strongest predator is not always the one who wins. Sometimes the strongest predator is the one who learns when to stop hunting." The display showed newer images. Humans working together to build space stations. Human ships exploring the galaxy. Human scientists making discoveries. "When we reached the stars, we found a galaxy full of different species. Some were peaceful, like your people. Others were aggressive, like the Krexhai. We watched and learned about all of them." "Why did you not make contact?" Zareth asked. "Because we were not ready. We knew that other species would see us as just another violent race. We had to prove to ourselves that we could be better than our history." Captain Chen stood up and walked to the window. "Then the Krexhai began their expansion. We watched them destroy peaceful civilizations. We saw them enslave entire species. We realized that all our preparation had been leading to this moment." "You came to fight them," Zareth said. "We came to stop them," Captain Chen corrected. "There is a difference. Fighting is about defeating enemies. Stopping is about protecting innocents." A soft chime sounded from the wall communicator. A voice spoke in the human language too fast for Zareth to follow. Captain Chen listened and nodded. "We are approaching Haven's Rest," she said. "Would you like to see what humans call war?" They took an elevator to what Captain Chen called the bridge. It was enormous, filled with workstations and display screens. Dozens of humans worked at various positions, coordinating the ship's systems with calm efficiency. At the center of the bridge, a huge main screen showed the Haven's Rest system. Zareth could see 3 Krexhai ships in orbit around the colony world, and smaller vessels moving between the planet and the ships. "They are taking prisoners," she whispered. "Not anymore," said a human at one of the workstations. "Captain, we have weapon locks on all 3 targets." "Fire," Captain Chen said simply. The Retribution's weapons spoke with a voice like thunder. Energy beams lanced out across space, striking the Krexhai ships with devastating accuracy. The aliens' shields held for a few seconds, then collapsed under the assault. But the humans did not destroy the ships completely. Instead, they targeted specific systems, weapons, engines, communication arrays. Within minutes, the Krexhai vessels were crippled and helpless. "Boarding parties, prepare for launch," Captain Chen ordered. "Remember the rules. Protect the prisoners. Capture the crews if possible. No unnecessary killing." Zareth watched in amazement as small human ships launched from the Retribution and docked with the disabled Krexhai vessels. She could hear radio chatter as human soldiers moved through the enemy ships, freeing captured Velthari and securing Krexhai prisoners. "You are not killing them," she said. "We told you," Captain Chen replied. "We learned when to stop hunting. The Krexhai are dangerous, but they are not evil. They are just afraid. Their homeworld is dying, and they think conquest is the only way to survive." "How do you know that?" "Because we have been studying them for years. We know everything about them. Their biology, their psychology, their fears. That is how we learned to build weapons that could defeat them. One of the human officers approached the captain. "Ma'am, we have rescued 8,000 Velthari civilians. The Krexhai crews have surrendered. What are your orders?" "Take the prisoners to the holding areas. Make sure they are comfortable and well fed. Some of them may be willing to help us understand their people better." The officer nodded and walked away. Captain Chen turned back to Zarath. "This is what humans do," she said. "We study our enemies until we understand them completely. Then we defeat them with minimal destruction. Then we try to help them find a better way to live." "But why?" Zarath asked. "Why risk your lives for species you barely know?" Captain Chen was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was very soft. "Because we remember what it was like to be the monsters. We remember what it was like to hurt innocent people because we were afraid or angry or desperate. We do not want anyone else to go through what we went through." She looked out at the stars. "The galaxy is full of predators and prey, but humans learned to be something different. We learned to be protectors." Zarath felt something she had not felt since the attack on her convoy. She felt hope. Maybe these strange, violent, gentle humans really could stop the Krexhai. Maybe the galaxy could be a safe place for peaceful species again. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we take you home," Captain Chen said, "and we start building an alliance. Because stopping the Krexhai is going to take more than one ship, no matter how powerful. We are going to need friends." 3 weeks after the rescue at Haven's Rest, Zarath stood on the bridge of the Retribution and watched the humans prepare for their most dangerous mission yet. She wore a special uniform now, dark blue with silver markings that showed she was a cultural liaison. Captain Chen had asked her to help the humans understand other species better. In return, she was learning how humans thought about war and peace. What she had learned amazed and terrified her. "Target confirmed," reported Lieutenant Garcia from the sensor station. 3 Krexhai harvester ships and 1 battlecruiser, currently stripping resources from the Centauri mining colonies. "How many prisoners?" Captain Chen asked. "Approximately 50,000 from various species. Mostly Velthari and Kothran, but we are detecting some Zephyrian life signs as well." Zarath shuddered. The Zephyrians were an aquatic species known for their beautiful art and peaceful nature. The idea of them in Krexhai slave camps made her sick. "Captain," she said quietly, "the battlecruiser is a Devastator-class vessel. They carry enough firepower to destroy a moon. Are you certain we can handle it?" Captain Chen smiled the way humans did when they were about to do something dangerous. "Zarath, we have been planning for this exact scenario for 3 years. Trust us." The main screen showed the target system. The Krexhai ships hung in orbit around a dead world, their massive hulls gleaming in the light of the system's red sun. Supply ships moved between the vessels and the planet's surface, carrying stolen resources and captured slaves. "All stations battle readiness," Captain Chen ordered. "Remember, people, we are not here to destroy. We are here to liberate. I want those prisoners safe and those Krexhai crews intact for questioning." Zarath had watched humans fight before, but this was different. This time they were facing a real Krexhai fleet, not just a few patrol ships. She had seen what Devastator-class vessels could do. They had weapons that could crack a planet's crust. "Captain," called the communications officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the Krexhai battlecruiser. Put it on screen." The main display flickered, then showed the bridge of the enemy vessel. A massive Krexhai warrior filled the screen. His insect-like features twisted with contempt. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding metal. "Unknown ship. You have entered Dominion space without permission. Identify yourself or be destroyed." Captain Chen stepped forward. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Retribution. We are here to free your prisoners. Surrender now and we will treat you with respect." The Krexhai commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Humans, we have no record of your species. You are clearly some new slave race trying to play at being warriors. Prepare to join our other prisoners." The transmission ended. Immediately, the Krexhai battlecruiser began turning toward them, its massive weapons charging for an attack. "Here we go," Captain Chen said calmly. "All ships execute Plan Delta 7. Zarath blinked in confusion. "All ships? Captain, we are only one vessel, are we?" Captain Chen smiled. "Computer, drop stealth fields." Suddenly, the space around the Retribution filled with ships. Dozens of human vessels materialized as if from nothing, each one bristling with weapons. Zareth counted at least 30 warships from small destroyers to massive dreadnoughts. How? She gasped. Stealth technology, explained Lieutenant Garcia. We learned it by studying the way certain deep space creatures hide from predators. We have been surrounding this system for 2 days, waiting for you to give us the tactical information we needed. The Krexhai commander's face reappeared on screen. His confidence had vanished, replaced by shock and fear. Impossible, he snarled. Your ships appeared from nothing. What manner of trickery is this? No trickery, Captain Chen replied. Just human engineering. Last chance to surrender. The Krexhai battlecruiser fired instead, its main guns lashing out with enough energy to vaporize a city. But the beam struck nothing but empty space. The human ships had moved with impossible speed, scattering like leaves in the wind. Then they began their counterattack. Zareth had thought the battle at Haven's Rest was impressive, but this was something entirely different. The human fleet moved like a single living creature, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be. They struck the Krexhai vessels with surgical precision, targeting specific systems while avoiding anything that might harm the prisoners. How are they so coordinated? She asked. Quantum communication, Captain Chen explained without taking her eyes off the battle. Every human ship is connected to every other human ship in real time. We think as one fleet, not as individual vessels. The Krexhai tried to fight back, but they were not prepared for this kind of warfare. They were used to facing enemies who relied on brute force. The humans used something much more dangerous: intelligence. Within 30 minutes, all 4 Krexhai ships were disabled and boarded. Zareth watched on the secondary screens as human soldiers moved through the enemy vessels. They fought with a combination of ruthless efficiency and careful restraint that she found almost impossible to understand. When they encountered Krexhai defenders, they used weapons that stunned rather than killed. When they found prisoner areas, they immediately began treating injuries and providing food and water. When they captured enemy officers, they secured them gently and spoke to them in calm, respectful voices. Boarding complete, reported the fleet commander. 73,000 prisoners liberated, including species we have never encountered before. Krexhai casualties, 47 injured, none killed. Excellent work, Captain Chen said. Begin prisoner evacuation and medical treatment. I want the Krexhai crews transferred to the Retribution for processing. Captain, Zareth said, I do not understand. You could have destroyed those ships easily. Why did you show mercy to the Krexhai? Because mercy is not weakness, Captain Chen replied. It is the ultimate expression of strength. Any fool can destroy an enemy. It takes wisdom to turn an enemy into an ally. Over the next few hours, Zareth watched the humans work with the efficiency of a machine and the compassion of healers. They set up medical stations for the freed prisoners. They established communication networks so families could find each other. They even provided counseling for those who had suffered trauma. But what impressed her most was how they treated the captured Krexhai. Instead of throwing them in cells, the humans put them in comfortable quarters. Instead of interrogating them harshly, human psychologists spoke to them about their fears and motivations. Many of them are not evil, Dr. Martinez, the ship's chief psychologist, explained to Zareth. They are desperate. Their homeworld is dying, and they believe conquest is their only option for survival. If we can show them alternatives, some of them might be willing to change sides. Has that ever worked? More than you might think. We already have over 300 former Krexhai working with our fleet as advisors and translators. That evening, Zareth was invited to a meeting in the ship's main conference room. Captain Chen was there, along with representatives from a dozen different species. Some she recognized, others were completely new to her. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored beings, Captain Chen began. We are here to discuss the formation of a new alliance, not based on conquest or fear, but on mutual protection and cooperation. A Kothran elder raised one of his forearms. Captain Chen, your people have shown remarkable kindness to us. But can you really protect the entire galaxy from the Krexhai Dominion? They have thousands of ships. Not alone, Captain Chen admitted. But we do not have to fight alone. Every species in this room has something valuable to offer. The Velthari have the best medical technology in the galaxy. The Kothran are master engineers. The Zephyrians understand energy systems better than anyone. She activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. We propose a true alliance. Not one species ruling over others, but all species working together as equals. Humans will provide military protection while you contribute your knowledge and skills. A Zephyrian delegate spoke in their melodious voice. And what do humans want in return? Captain Chen was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was very serious. We want to never again see innocent people suffering because someone decided they were weak and expendable. We want to build a galaxy where peaceful species can pursue knowledge and art and happiness without fear. She looked around the room. We want to prove that strength and kindness can exist together. That predators can choose to be protectors. Zareth felt tears in her eyes. For the first time since the destruction of her research convoy, she believed that the galaxy could be a safe place for her people. The alliance was formed that day. And for the Krexhai Dominion, everything was about to change. 6 months later, Zareth stood on the observation deck of the battleship New Dawn and watched the largest fleet in galactic history prepare for the final battle. The ship around her was like nothing that had ever existed before. It was built with human engineering, powered by Velthari biocrystals, protected by Kothran energy shields, and navigated by Zephyrian quantum computers. The crew included members of 47 different species, all working together under human command. Zareth now wore the uniform of a chief science officer, with ribbons that showed she had survived 3 major battles against the Krexhai. But more importantly, she wore a small crystal pin that marked her as one of the founding members of the Galactic Liberation Alliance. Final sensor sweep complete, reported Commander Takala, a Kothran who had become one of the finest tactical officers in the fleet. The Krexhai have assembled their entire remaining fleet at the Nexus Point. Over 800 ships, including 12 Worldbreaker-class dreadnoughts. Zareth shivered. Worldbreaker ships were the most powerful vessels the Krexhai had ever built. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Facing 12 of them seemed like madness. "How many ships do we have?" she asked. 437, replied Admiral Chen. She had been promoted after leading 6 successful campaigns against Krexhai forces. "We are outnumbered almost 2 to 1. Then why are you smiling?" Zareth asked. "Because numbers are not everything," Admiral Chen said. "We have something the Krexhai have never faced before. We have hope." The main display showed the approaching battle zone. The Nexus Point was a strategic location at the center of the galaxy, surrounded by major hyperspace routes. Whoever controlled it could threaten any world in known space. The Krexhai had chosen this place for their final stand because they believed it was unbeatable. They had spent months fortifying the area with space stations, minefields, and weapon platforms. They were prepared to fight to the last warrior rather than accept defeat. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Zhao from the communications station, "we are receiving a transmission from the Krexhai fleet commander. Put him on screen." The display showed the bridge of a massive Krexhai dreadnought. The alien commander was even larger than usual, with scars covering his insect-like face and ceremonial armor that marked him as a member of the ruling caste. "I am War Master Krakteth of the Eternal Dominion," he said in a voice like grinding stone. "You have interfered with our expansion for the last time. Today your pathetic alliance dies and we reclaim our rightful place as rulers of the galaxy." Admiral Chen stepped forward. "War Master, I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Galactic Liberation Alliance. We offer you one final chance to surrender. Lay down your weapons and we will help your people find a new home where you can live in peace." The Krexhai commander made a sound of pure hatred. "Peace is weakness. The strong rule, the weak serve. That is the natural order. Your humans may have powerful ships, but you are still prey animals trying to play at being predators." "No," Admiral Chen said quietly. "We are predators who learned to hunt something new. We hunt extinction itself." The transmission ended. Immediately, space filled with weapon fire as the Krexhai fleet opened their attack. But something amazing happened. The human-led alliance did not scatter or retreat. Instead, they moved forward in perfect formation, their diverse ships working together like instruments in a vast orchestra. Zareth watched in awe as Velthari medical ships stayed close to the battle lines, rescuing survivors from both sides. Kothran engineering vessels repaired damaged alliance ships even while under fire. Zephyrian support craft used their energy manipulation abilities to disrupt Krexhai weapons. And at the center of it all, human ships moved like deadly dancers, striking with incredible precision while protecting their allies. "How are we doing this?" Zareth asked. We are so outnumbered. Because we are not fighting 47 separate species, Admiral Chen explained. We are fighting as one people. Every ship in this fleet is connected to every other ship. We share information instantly. We coordinate perfectly. We think as one mind with hundreds of bodies. The battle raged for hours. The Krexhai fought with desperate fury, knowing this was their last chance to maintain their empire. But gradually, alliance tactics began to tell. One by one, Krexhai ships were disabled and boarded. One by one, their commanders were captured or convinced to surrender. The turning point came when the Alliance fleet reached the Krexhai command ship. War Master Kraktith had barricaded himself on the bridge, refusing all offers of surrender. Human Marines had to fight their way through deck after deck of fanatical defenders. But when they finally reached him, they did something that shocked everyone, including Zarath. They did not kill him. Instead, Admiral Chen herself beamed over to the enemy ship and walked onto the bridge with only a small guard escort. She approached the massive alien warrior who was wounded and surrounded but still defiant. War Master, she said, your fleet is defeated, your ships are disabled, your empire is finished, but you and your people do not have to die. Death before dishonor, Kraktith snarled. I will never bow to prey animals. I am not asking you to bow, Admiral Chen replied. I am asking you to think. Your homeworld is dying, yes? Your people need resources to survive? The Krexhai commander's eyes narrowed. What do you know of our struggles? Everything, Admiral Chen said simply. We have been studying you for years. We know about the solar flares that are destroying your planet's atmosphere. We know about the crop failures and the population crisis. We know that conquest seemed like your only option. She activated a portable holographic display. But there are other options. Uninhabited worlds where your people could live. Technologies that could heal your homeworld. Partnerships with other species who could help you rebuild. Lies, Kraktith said, but his voice was less certain now. No lies, Admiral Chen said. Truth. The Alliance has already identified 17 worlds suitable for Krexhai colonization. We have technologies that could restore your planet's atmosphere within 50 years. We have food production methods that could end your hunger permanently. She stepped closer to the towering alien. All we ask in return is that you stop trying to conquer everyone else. Join the Alliance as equals, not rulers. Help us build a galaxy where all species can thrive. For a long moment, the Krexhai War Master stared at the small human woman. Around them, the sounds of battle were fading as the last Krexhai ship surrendered or were disabled. Why? He finally asked. Why offer mercy to those who showed you none? Because that is what makes us different, Admiral Chen said. We learned that the strongest predator is not the one who kills all his prey. It is the one who protects the prey from other predators. War Master Kraktith was silent for a very long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I surrender. In the name of the Krexhai people, I accept your terms. 3 days later, Zarath stood in the main conference room of the Alliance flagship, watching representatives from across the galaxy sign the Galactic Peace Accords. Humans sat next to former Krexhai officers. Felthari healers worked alongside species that had once been mortal enemies. Personal log, Chief Science Officer Zarath, she said into her recorder. It has been exactly 1 year since I floated alone in space waiting to die. I thought the galaxy was a place where the strong devoured the weak, where peaceful species could never be safe. She looked out the window at the mixed fleet of ships from dozens of worlds. I was wrong. The galaxy is whatever we choose to make it, and humanity chose to make it a place where everyone, no matter how small or peaceful, has the right to reach for the stars. On the main display, she could see Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel. The human homeworld looked so peaceful and beautiful that it was hard to believe such a violent species had come from there. But perhaps that was the point. Perhaps the most dangerous predators were the ones who learned to choose their prey carefully, and humanity had chosen to prey upon fear, hatred, and despair itself. The galaxy is no longer ruled by tooth and claw, Zarath continued her log. Thanks to a species that learned to be both predator and protector, it has become something new. A place where strength serves kindness, where power protects the innocent, and where even the smallest voice can be heard among the stars. She closed the recorder and smiled. Outside her window, human ships flew in formation with vessels from 100 different worlds. The future was uncertain, But for the first time in galactic history, it was also full of hope. The age of conquest was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and it had all started with a single human ship finding one small engineer floating alone in the dark, refusing to let her die forgotten in the void. Sometimes the greatest victories began with the smallest acts of kindness.